So let's move on now with some very practical logistics on event organizing for your open hardware project. So there are some things that you cannot miss when organizing an event like this, and this include documenting your content for different purposes, right? You may want to open the discussions that were happening in your event for everyone to see. You may want to have them for future reference, but also for outreach and promotion of your project, okay? You can document in different ways. So you can do live recording, you can make photographs, but you can also have live documentation. You can have collaborative documents in sessions. You can have blog posts in the moment. You can have a GitHub repo. You can document in many ways as you can think of. But the important thing is that what is happening in your event doesn't get lost. Another important thing is that even in the less structured forms, or even in the less structured events, you need someone to facilitate the event, because your participants may be lost, may get lost sometimes, and it's useful always to have someone to refer to and to help things move forward if things are not moving. So I listed there in the link some awesome resources for facilitation of events from Public Lab. And also another thing you cannot miss, and that we have been through this for your virtual version of the project, is the code of conduct of the event. There are some examples there. It's important not only to have a code of conduct, but to train everyone and how to enforce it and how to respect it. So that's, again, that's a very important part that you cannot miss. Continuing with logistics, more related to the organizing committee or the organizing team. You cannot organize an event on your own. I'm sorry if this is a surprise, but this is too much work for one person and you will go crazy. So you should have a team, at least, even if it's a team of 2, but there should be roles, responsibilities you have to learn to delegate. And it's useful if you treat the event as a product launch, okay? So one of the first things you need to do in this document, this master document, is to define a list of milestones with dates and a responsible person, so you can cross them out as they are happening. 2 things that I wanted to put there, because they're very concrete, but it's super useful information when choosing 2 very important things: a date and a venue. Avoid every single date that can be nearby holidays, weekends, large sporting events, or maybe you don't want to avoid weekends, but it's because you have a very good reason, because you know your attendance and you know that they won't be able to attend your event if it's in a weekday. So just make your decision taking into account these factors. And for choosing a venue, please consider that you will need good Wi-Fi, you will need good lighting, having enough seating space, and having a flexible space. For example, if you're running a workshop. Do you have enough sockets, outlets, power sources for all your hardware? Is the Wi-Fi protected beneath some kind of privacy or firewall that will not let you run your experiments? Okay, so you have to ask all of these things before the day of the event. Another important thing when dealing with planning and logistics is the costs. So the main costs you will incur in are venue related, materials, especially hardware and mostly swag and this kind of stuff. And if you're gathering speakers, then traveling and accommodations. So for the first one, the venue, we have a super great opportunity with open hardware, because there is a whole educational, let's say, and DIY and learning aspect of open hardware that is super appealing to different organizations like universities, companies, even government innovation spaces. They are super interested in people tinkering with electronics. So make sure you use the venue as an opportunity for establishing a new partnership and increasing your outreach of the project. For materials and swag, it's another very good opportunity to get hardware or software sponsors. So getting sponsors is a huge task and it's time consuming. There are different formats for it. You can have tables for sponsors, you can have banners, you can have a sponsor giving a lightning talk. Just make sure your sponsor doesn't take over your event. And for this, is very useful to count with sponsorship prospectus, which is a model document in which you outline, okay, hi sponsor, I'm going to do this event. You describe your event and you say, if you put this amount of money, you get this. If you put this amount of money, you get that. So this is super useful to make sure that everything is in your hands. And for traveling and accommodations, I will be as honest as possible. If you're a small, medium project, then try to go as local as possible. Also, with this whole global scenario, it's better if we avoid traveling as much as possible. So yeah, traveling and accommodation can be a super big expense. So really think carefully about it. More specifics about things we usually overlook. Food and social. Again, think of it as an opportunity for increasing your outreach. Is your project, is your event related, for example, to conservation ecology, related to science, related to education? Maybe you find locally some catering service that has a social cause that is contributing to, or is employing, the employees are a specific underrepresented group. So there are lots of different initiatives out there that you can link to. And I would think be very thoughtful about where you put the money and which service you are bringing in, because it's really a good opportunity for you to promote yourself. Regarding on-site materials, there are lots of things you can do. Banners, again, for promotion and pictures, and even for sponsors. It would be good if you print schedules, because people find them useful, even if they have internet or whatever, but people find them useful. Stickers are the cheapest swag, and also they are useful if you want to help people to identify themselves as not wanting to be photographed, which is something you should do. Okay, not everyone wants to be photographed. And if you have the money, you can think of gifts for attendees, gifts for staff, or invited speakers. So a very important part of getting your event to be successful and getting your people there is to promote your event. The key here is to promote your event where your attendees already read, listen, and go to. So you have to find ways to engage them there. If you are making a user group, then it's easier because you probably have their email addresses. You can offer them discounts. You can go to an already existing user group and spread the word. If not, you can find, for example, newsletters in your topic area and promote your event there. Be creative. Think about who is using your project, or who may be interested in become a user. And for example, lots of hardware has uses for educational, science activities. You can promote yourself in Facebook groups and Twitter groups and newsletters that exist already. Another good thing is, as you're probably going local websites are fantastic for events. Try to see where the people of your city gather, where they discuss which is the best store to shop for what, and leave your message there. And last but not least, use social media. Use Twitter if you want to, but try also Facebook, try also LinkedIn, because usually they have lots of people that are there and that are different, and they may be interested in your event. So what do you do once your event has finished? I would say a mandatory thing is to send a survey to your participants. You may have to have some incentive for participants to complete the survey. But the most important thing here is that you need to design the survey not just to be a requirement, but to be something useful for you later. So to give you useful information for you to be able to plan a better event next year, or to understand what happened. I linked you there again some tips that are useful for designing a good survey. Second, almost again required thing is debrief with your team. Not immediately the next day, maybe following week. Did you meet your goals? If not, what happened? What can you improve? And it's important to document these lessons, and again in this master document. If you have followed everything and you have everything documented in this master document, then it will be quite easy for you to open source your event, which means not only open source the content, documentation, but share with others the process that you have been through and the learnings that you have acquired in the process. You can also ask for feedback from people outside your organizing team. So it's everyone wins. So if you want more information, I have linked here. Again, the main source was this Planning an Open Source event, which is a workshop run by Karen, Francesca, and Oscon, but also some online calls that are currently ongoing, which are a part of a project called Movement Building from Home by Abby and Chad from Mozilla. You can join. They are currently ongoing, and they are super useful, especially, of course, in this COVID times. Mozilla also prepared some time ago the Open Leadership Training Series, and it has a section about running awesome events, so I would recommend you to go there too. And another resource I mentioned is Host Barn Raising by Public Lab. Public Lab has lots of guides and resources for facilitating awesome events. I highly recommend you to read about them. So that was all. Thank you so much for listening to part 1 and 2 of this week 11 of Open Hardware Leaders, and see you soon.